This is brought to you by Forethought, building AI agents for every customer moment. Chase, welcome to London.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Excited to be here too. Well, I want to jump in because we have only a little bit of time and a lot to cover. But one thing that I'm sure we would love to clarify a bit, as much as we can on stage, with lawyers in the background. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about Stargate right now. It's been mentioned that you've been involved in this project. Where do you see Stargate as it is right now? Is it a dream, an idea for powering this AI moment? How tangible is it? Where are things going?
Well, I can't really comment much on like the company that is Stargate, because there's kind of this company creation. But I can't comment on.
So it is a company, the entity, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspects to Stargate. But what I can't comment on is what we're doing in Abilene, Texas, and a very large data center project that we've been working on there. That's a 1.2 gigawatt scale AI factory that will house 400,000 GB200s. It's going to be a fully interconnected, coherent cluster for a single customer. So it's a very, very large project. We think it's kind of the largest in the world. It's been sort of a massive investment in capital, but also resources to really bring this project to life. So today we have about 3,500 people on site every day, kind of working to make this happen around the clock. And we're sort of bringing it up in record
Huge.
time.
That's bigger than a lot of startups here, for sure.
Totally. And it's I think the fastest 100 megawatt data center had ever been built was a little over 2 years. And basically we started construction in about a year ago, and we started delivering the first capacity recently. So it's like less than a year, so a little over 300 days for our first buildings, and then the next 6 buildings, I think our average time is like 215 days.
It's gonna be
really focused on speed and really helping accelerate AI infrastructure and helping bring AI to life.
Definitely. I mean, that's going to be a large undertaking, but also massive opportunity. I mean, you called it an AI factory at one point. So what's the difference between an AI factory and a data center?
Yeah, so
in your mind, yeah.
Yeah, AI factory is sort of this concept that's really been coined by Jensen. And I think when people think about oftentimes, like historically, people have thought about data centers as these cost centers, right? They're these places where you're spending OpEx to kind of run your business. But when people think about factories, they're producing something of really meaningful material value. And what we're seeing with this new landscape of AI infrastructure is that what we're building is these massive factories that are steel, copper, large-scale infrastructure projects, and then of course silicon and high-performance networking. And what they manufacture is intelligence, right? So the input is power, steel, and silicon, and the output is
material goods, physical goods,
which is driving productivity for the economy.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely something that can be, we talk about, is AI creating or replacing jobs? Building AI factories sounds like it's, providing a lot of jobs. Have you thought a bit to the extent to which this infrastructure build is going to, remake the labor force, or what resources we're spending this on?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of in a position where labor is actually one of our major bottlenecks. Like we can't hire enough trade workers to build infrastructure fast enough, and
there's not enough workers for the physical AI. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of other things that we're working on, but labor certainly becomes a bottleneck when you're trying to hire many thousands of people to collectively work together to bring this infrastructure online to really scale AI.
So definitely huge job creation. Negotiation, finding people to fill these roles.
Absolutely, I think it's like we view the opportunity with AI, not just on the blue collar labor side, but also on the white collar side. We view it as a massive job enabler. We're obviously hiring a ton on the blue collar side, but we view a lot of the tools that are sort of coming to life, and a lot of the people in this room that are working on startups across the AI ecosystem that are driving productivity across the workforce. ultimately will enable people to be more productive and to be able to do more with their careers. And ultimately, that's going to just drive more job creation.
For sure. And we've talked a lot about, the physical parts of AI so far, but really a lot of your business, right, is in, the cloud and providing these cloud services and also, as a neocloud, as you put it, rather than, these hyperscalers. Where do you fit into this ecosystem? Because obviously you see, like Microsoft, Google, people spending tons on building out data centers and AI factories of their own definition right now. So where do you fit in with as a neocloud, and where is the role for a neocloud in this moment?
Yeah, so Crusoe's always taken this vertically integrated AI cloud approach to things, and that starts from the things that we're doing in Abilene, where it's like we are doing site development work, where it's like land, power, construction, and then it extends all the way up to how do we actually engineer, design the network topologies? How do we deploy clusters efficiently? How do we do it quickly? And then how do we build a very high-performance infrastructure software layer and orchestration layer that enables innovators to build interesting applications and use cases for very specific domains? And really, what we view the opportunity is that AI infrastructure is a massive new category of computing infrastructure that's far different than traditional cloud computing infrastructure that's meant to service traditional web applications. And with that framework in mind, it sort of created this massive opportunity for companies like Crusoe to bring a high degree of specialization and focus to this new category. And with that, I think one of our biggest, I think like the two biggest components where we are structurally advantaged compared to a lot of the hyperscalers is we are relentlessly focused on delivering the best AI computing infrastructure to startups and enterprises across the world. So having that high degree of focus and specialization gives us a massive advantage to just be focused on that use case and not be worried about having to support all the other cloud computing applications and workflows that are embedded in a platform like AWS. And then secondly, we are sort of just as a startup, we have this this culture of a high degree of urgency, and being able to move very, very quickly in a rapidly evolving space like what we're seeing in AI has created huge opportunities for companies like Crusoe and CoreWeave and many other neoclouds to sort of create and really enable the space to kind of go to work and enable builders and innovators to really do their life's work and do that in a more accelerated capacity.
For sure. That will take a lot of energy, no doubt, per the name of our panel, energy, hunger, intelligence. Yep. So where are you primarily seeing the biggest energy bottlenecks? And we talked about labor as one bottleneck going forward, but where do you see the needs for energy, and how are you kind of within your own technology balancing either environmental concerns, or I just as a Texan myself, I think about building in Abilene. There's power grid questions sometimes in that state. So
yeah.
How have you been thinking about kind of building up energy capacity?
Well, I think that's like a philosophical difference in the way Crusoe's always been structured, is that we've taken this very energy first approach to the infrastructure. And I think for a lot of AI use cases, they don't need to be co-located in Northern Virginia, right? They can be co-located in a lot of different domains because oftentimes they're less latency sensitive than a lot of web applications. And so that's opened up the opportunity to basically re-architect the entire data center infrastructure landscape to be more energy aligned. So just to maybe share some quick numbers with folks, because people throw around megawatts and gigawatts a lot, and I don't know that people have a true perspective of what a lot of these numbers actually mean. But in most people's minds, like Northern Virginia is sort of the center of the world for the data center community. It's where a lot of the internet runs, especially in the US. The total capacity in Northern Virginia, this is a report from JLL, was about 4.5 gigawatts end of 2024. If you look at what we're doing in Abilene, Texas, right, a place that's never had a data center, didn't really have most people probably never heard of Abilene, Texas until we put a shovel in the ground there. And Larry Ellison mentioned it at the White House. But we're doing 1.2 gigawatts in Abilene, Texas for a single customer. There's multiple conversations we're involved in that are 5 gigawatt plus single locations. So you're talking about building all of the data center capacity that we built over the last, whatever, decades, you know, you're talking about building all of that infrastructure in a single location for a single customer in a very short period of time. So it creates a massive energy bottleneck. You know, where do you find and source a lot of that power? You know, that's actually what drove us to going to Abilene was, you know, it's an area that's rich in wind and solar. It's one of the windiest areas of the United States. A lot of underutilized, heavily curtailed wind capacity was there. We're able to basically bring a very large energy demand to that market. In Europe, that's what's brought us to Iceland. Iceland's this sort of geological phenomenon where you have this ultra low cost geothermal and hydropower that we've been able to utilize to power these large scale GPU clusters to enable a lot of our customers here in Europe. You know, we just announced that we're going to be doing something in Norway.
Right, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited to be building there. And again, it's sort of, you know, in this thesis of go where we can access low cost, clean, and abundant energy to power AI computing infrastructure.
With, you know, I think obviously, you know, with different, you know, regional conflicts and things, you know, popping up in the news, one, of course, energy always becomes a big component of that. Do you see your energy builds both, you know, in Abilene, in Norway, and Iceland, do you see that in any way, you know, contributing to sort of the debate around, you know, global or sovereign AI? Will energy play a big part, you know, in the conversations between maybe, you know, East meets West, the DeepSeek moment, how China powers their AI movement, you know? How do you think about where energy is going to be going within maybe also siloing different parts of AI development?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, energy is a critical infrastructure topic and, you know, core to any geopolitical discussion. And I think AI infrastructure is becoming critical infrastructure, and people are viewing that through this lens of sovereign AI, of every country really needing to have their own sovereign AI factories that, you know, can really help support domestic use cases. You know, to me, that creates actually a massive opportunity to actually accelerate a lot of net new energy technologies, because you end up with this large demand for energy that's driving large investments, not just in the data center, but also in the power to sort of support it. Which I think can help electrify, you know, new economies. And, you know, Crusoe's always sort of taken this approach of like, you know, because we have this very large demand, we're really focused on trying to like bend the arc of energy production towards sustainable infrastructure.
I was going to hit there next. Yeah. So in our AI future, is how much is, you know, will be dependent on us figuring out mass amounts of cheap, sustainable energy if we continue where we're clearly headed right now.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in my mind, a lot of this is actually going to be, you know, both catalyzed from demand for power from AI, but also, you know, leveraging AI as a tool for invention. You know, ultimately, you know, our goal as an AI cloud platform is to enable all of the incredible innovators to do their life's work, to really, you know, inspire the next generation of humanity to, you know, invent solutions that accelerate this AI-driven era of abundance and human prosperity. And a lot of that's going to come from invention of new technologies that drive down energy costs, that drive down, or that, you know, increase the sustainability of a lot of the energy production. And we're really excited to see that future play out.
Me too. Chase, thank you so much.
Thank you.